The rain hammered the windshield so hard it felt like the sky was screaming. Sarah gripped her swollen belly, each contraction ripping through her like a freight train, while Mark, her husband, slouched in the driver's seat, muttering, "Can you just suck it up? I've been up for 36 hours." His words hit harder than the pain, slicing through her haze of labor and leaving her breathless with betrayal. They'd been married 5 years, and Sarah thought she knew Mark's quirks, his temper, his rare moments of tenderness. But this was new. The man who once held her hand through a sprained ankle was now rolling his eyes as she panted through contractions in the passenger seat of their beat-up sedan. The hospital was still 10 minutes away, and every second felt like a lifetime. Sarah bit her lip, refusing to cry, not because of the pain, but because of the man beside her, who seemed more annoyed than concerned. Mark had been working overtime at the construction site, and Sarah got it, he was exhausted. She'd tried to be understanding, cooking dinner despite her third trimester fatigue, tiptoeing around his moods. But now, as her body screamed and her baby demanded to be born, his exhaustion felt like a cheap excuse. "You're not the one pushing a human out," she gasped, her voice sharp despite the pain. Mark scoffed. "Yeah, well, I'm the one keeping us afloat. You don't get to complain." The hospital loomed into view, its neon sign flickering through the downpour. Sarah barely registered the nurse rushing out with a wheelchair as Mark parked sloppily. She was wheeled into the maternity ward, her vision blurring with pain and tears. Mark trailed behind, grumbling about the weather, the traffic, anything but her. The nurses exchanged glances, their professionalism masking their judgment. Sarah caught it, though, and it burned worse than the contractions. Hours blurred into a haze of pain, monitors beeping, and nurses' gentle encouragement. Sarah pushed through it alone, Mark dozing in a corner chair, his snores a mocking soundtrack to her struggle. When their daughter, Lily, finally arrived, 7 pounds, 2 ounces, with a wail that echoed Sarah's own resilience. Mark stirred, offering a half-hearted, "Nice job." Sarah held Lily close, her heart swelling with love and a quiet, simmering anger. She'd done this to spite him. Days later, they were home, Lily's tiny cries filling the small apartment. Sarah was exhausted, her body aching, her mind frayed from sleepless nights. Mark, however, seemed to think life should snap back to normal. "Can you keep her quiet? I've got work tomorrow," he'd say. Or, "Why's the place a mess? You're home all day." Sarah swallowed her retorts, too tired to fight, too focused on Lily's needs. But the resentment grew, a slow poison seeping into her love for him. Then it happened. 2 weeks after Lily's birth. Mark doubled over in the kitchen, clutching his side, his face pale as the linoleum floor. "It's nothing," he gasped. But Sarah knew better. She'd seen that kind of pain before in herself, during labor. She called an ambulance, her voice calm, but her heart racing with a strange mix of fear and vindication. At the hospital, the diagnosis came: fast appendicitis. Mark needed emergency surgery. In the sterile waiting room, Sarah sat with Lily sleeping in her arms, replaying Mark's words from the car. "Suck it up." Now he was the one in pain, the one at the mercy of doctors and machines. She didn't wish this on him. No, she wasn't that cruel, but a part of her felt the universe was balancing the scales. When the doctor emerged, saying the surgery went well, but Mark would need weeks to recover, Sarah nodded, her face unreadable. She visited him the next day, Lily in a sling against her chest. Mark looked small in the hospital bed, his usual bravado gone. "This hurts like hell," he admitted, his voice weak. Sarah could have thrown his words back at him, could have said, "Suck it up, Mark," but she didn't. Instead, she sat beside him, adjusting Lily's blanket. "Pain's a great teacher," she said quietly. "It shows you what matters." Mark's eyes met hers, and for the first time in weeks, she saw something like shame flicker across his face. "I was a jerk, wasn't I?" he muttered. Sarah didn't answer right away. She let the question hang, Let him feel its weight. You were tired, she said finally, but so was I, and I needed you. The weeks that followed were a slow unraveling of their old dynamic. Mark's recovery forced him to stay home, to witness the relentless grind of caring for a newborn. He changed diapers, fumbled through bottle feedings, and saw the exhaustion etched into Sarah's face. One night, as Lily slept and Sarah collapsed on the couch, Mark sat beside her. I didn't get it, he said, his voice low. What you went through. I'm sorry. Sarah looked at him, searching for the man who'd dismissed her pain. She saw something new, humility, maybe, or the beginnings of it. Sorry's a start, she said, but it's not enough. You've got to show up. Mark. For me? For her. He nodded, and for the first time in a long time, she believed he might try. Their marriage wasn't fixed. Not by a long shot, but pain, Sarah realized, had a way of cracking people open, exposing what's broken and what's worth saving. Mark's surgery had humbled him, just as her labor had strengthened her. They were both learning, stumbling towards something better, or at least, she hoped they were. Lily grew, her giggles filling the apartment, a reminder of what they were fighting for. Sarah and Mark talked more, argued less, and slowly rebuilt trust. It wasn't perfect, but it was honest, and maybe that was enough for now. What do you think? Did Mark deserve his wake-up call? Or was Sarah too hard on him? Share your thoughts on who was right or wrong, and why, and